In this week's Frosty Friday challenge, we are looking at tasks. Tasks are often used as part of a continuous ELT workflow to process recently changed roles. Frosty Farms, our employer, is looking to create a set of chained tasks, two to be exact. The farms have plenty of cows who produce milk for us, and from there, some of that milk is converted into whole milk and semi-skimmed milk. I'm more of a semi-skimmed type of person. We want our data to be edited to reflect the fact that the fat percentage of the milk will determine how the data should look. Skim milk goes through the process of fat reduction in a centrifuge. Therefore, whole milk rows won't need columns relating to that process, but the skimmed milk rows will. Create a parent and child task that will perform different actions on the different rows of data depending on the fat percentage of the milk. So let's go ahead and jump in to our Snowflake worksheet. The first thing I'm going to do is to create a virtual warehouse to process our queries. So let's go ahead and execute these two lines of code. Notice how we have a green indicator at the top right hand corner indicating the warehouse is now active. Next up, we are going to set up the database that will house our data. If I hover over to the left hand side, click on the three ellipses and hit refresh, we should see our Frosty Friday database. From here, we're going to create a file format that tells Snowflake the structure of the incoming dataset with the parameters set to CSV and skip header to 1, which in essence just means that the first row doesn't contain actual values, but rather the header of each of the columns. From here, we're going to create an external stage that points to an S3 bucket with the file format specified to the one created earlier. We can go ahead and verify the contents of our stage with one file, namely the file we're going to be using to create our Snowflake table. This chunky piece of code takes the data in the external stage and copies it into a Snowflake table within our Frosty Friday database. The pattern used to search for the file name is on any file name with the words milk underscore data. Our dollar signs indicate the absolute number of the column. So $1 is the first column, $2 the second column, and so forth. and M specifies or is an alias for the table. Okay, so the select statement is table period followed by the column number, as well as a human friendly or readable column name. Let's go ahead and verify that the data has been loaded into the table. And what we'll notice, if I just zoom out for a moment, is our neatly arranged table with different column names and data types. Everything from the date time object through to integers and floating point numbers, as well as null values. The first task is to remove the dates in these two columns, the centrifuge start time and centrifuge end time, where the fat percentage is equal to 3. So what we want to see in essence is this row over here with the fat percentage of 3, start time and end time equal to null. So that's what the first task or this piece of code here helps us accomplish. The second task is to create a timestamp or time difference between the start and end time where the fat percentage is not equal to 3. Next up, we can explicitly tell Snowflake to run one task after the another, as well as using this line of code to resume our tasks, which on creation by default are in a suspended mode. Viewing our tasks, and we should see one for whole milk and another for skimmed milk. Rather than waiting, we can go ahead and execute our task manually. And as a final check before wrapping up the exercise, just verify that columns with a fat percentage or rows with a fat percentage of 3 have a null value for their start and end time, as well as a timestamp difference where the fat percentage is not equal to 3. Scanning across our results panel, let's have a look. Okay, fat percentage 2. We should see the processing time column telling us the time difference between the two. So it appears our task has not yet executed. Let's go ahead and pause this for a moment and rerun the query. And voila, okay, where we see a fat percentage of 3, we now have null values for the start and end time. And where the fat percentage is either a 1 or 2, we have the time difference measured in seconds between our start and end time. All right. Strictly not necessary, but this piece just, well, I suppose, verifies the number of rows that have been processed by each task. So we have 89 rows of records, fulfilling the whole milk process, and 183 rows going through the semi-skimmed milk updates. Okay. All right. I hope you've taken something away from this session. If you did, give it a like and subscribe for more such content. As they say in my hometown, don't forget to be awesome.